Hello and thanks for staying with us on Africa Independent Television AIT. This is the Signature Show, our Sunday meeting place for conversations on critical national issues, also for some fun and some relaxation. Mwabuze Njoko, my never changes. Welcome you to this week's edition of the program. Now, members of the 9th National Assembly took off on a 2-week break shortly after their inauguration and election of principal officers on June 11. I'm sure many of them, especially first-time legislators, need the break after the all-night Abuja party that followed their inauguration and swearing in. Now, I can tell you this for free, no fees to be charged at all. The excited assemblymen painted Abuja in all manner of colors, all throughout June 11 and June 12. But a number of social commentators and media photographers did not allow the first meeting of our brand new Deputy Senate President, Ovie Omo-Agege, and President Muhammadu Buhari to escape unnoticed. The picture told the story. I will not make any comment. Well, on June 12th, Nigeria's new Democracy Day, President Muhammadu Buhari named the Abuja National Stadium after Chief MKO Abiola, who represents the struggle by pro-democracy forces to wrench elected civilian government from the jaws of a crocodile military that locked its jaws against civilian administration for 29 years. Abiola, you remember, paid with his life. But that national honor has resurrected a number of critical questions. For instance, who killed Abiola? Who killed Abacha? Was the death of the two antagonists masterminded by interests that wanted to level the ground of content and contest and clear the coast for any other preferred person? Was there a predetermined beneficiary of the deaths of those two personages? Well, Atiku Abubakar, presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, in the last election says, the symbolism of declaring June 12 as Nigeria's Democracy Day and the posthumous awards being heaped on MKO Abiola will amount to nothing if Nigeria's democratic processes do not produce leaders who reflect the will and the choice of the people. If governance, he says, does not protect lives and property, does not inspire confidence and enhance prosperity, declaring June 12 Nigeria's Democracy Day would amount to nothing. Now, I think Atiku Abubakar's observation should not be dismissed. In fact, his assignment to our democracy should challenge those managing Nigeria's democracy and its processes and governance institutions. Don't you think so? Now, there's something a little bit spiritual now. The National Hajj Commission of Nigeria last Thursday inaugurated the media team for this year's Muslim pilgrimage. The inauguration, which took place in the National Mosque Library Hall, anchored on the need for ethical coverage of the Hajj exercise in Saudi Arabia. Now, it also exposed journalists who will cover those Muslim rights in the Holy Land to some do's and some don'ts, which professional enthusiasm sometimes could make us journalists to forget.
I have the singular honor and privilege to inaugurate the 2019 media team today, the 13th of June 2019. What we are doing here is to refresh their memory on what is expected and also to guide them through the rules and regulations governing Hajj operation, and to also make them understand that Hajj is a transborder activity, and we have to respect the rules and regulation of the Saudi government, and the media team should concentrate in covering Hajj and Hajj alone. And the essence of being there is to report Nigerian Hajj to Nigerians. So we shouldn't get involved into any other activity that concern other nations, their political affairs, but we should be mindful on our own business, and we should do everything that will portray our country in a very positive manner.
Now let's take a break here, and when we return, we will be setting the agenda for Nigeria's 9th National Assembly. Stay with us. Now, something Rotimi Amechi, former Rivers State Governor and former Minister of Transportation, said some 2-3 weeks ago, seems to be re-echoing and stirring controversy. Now, Rotimi Amechi had said that the Igbo nation has no business aspiring to produce Nigeria's president in 2023 because they have nothing to bring to the negotiation table, having refused to vote for Muhammadu Buhari and the APC in the last election. Now, questions are being raised in reaction to the former minister's statement. Now, some have asked him, did Amechi's own part of the country vote for Buhari and the APC? Has voting for Buhari now become the prime qualification for producing the next president? More critically, can Rotimi Amechi tell all the variables and all the circumstances that influenced the voting pattern and the outcomes of the last election? Now, there is this saying that it is he who wears the shoe that knows where the shoe pinches. We'll explain all this in detail when we return. Stay with us.
The processes leading to the inauguration of the 9th National Assembly were completed on Tuesday with the election of Ahmed Lawan from Yobe State as Senate President and Femi Gbajabiamila from Lagos State as Speaker of House of Representatives. With their election, the structure for the commencement of the second term in office of Muhammadu Buhari as President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria has firmly been put in place. With the installation of the principal officers of the National Assembly, also, the ruling All Progressive Congress has got all it has asked from the Nigerian electorate in order to deliver on its election promises. The party has produced the president and principal officers of the National Assembly and has its nominee as the Chief Justice of the Federation.
I want a synergy between them and the executive, so that we'll have a very good, seamless relationship like we had with the 6th and the 7th Assembly that was thrown up by the party.
The first tenure of President Muhammadu Buhari was really given excuses why the administration did not perform. Some of the excuses were the 8th Assembly were not the choice, or the leadership of the 8th Assembly were not the choice of the party. But now, you see the Senate President and the Deputy Senate President were the choice of the party. You understand? So they don't. I don't want the executive now to give Nigerians any excuse. So they should just go into action and perform.
The APC themselves, they have achieved what they want, and I hope by at the end of the day they won't have any excuse to give to us. Lawa is their candidate, good and fine. He has emerged. Omo Agage is the candidate, good and fine, he has emerged. What would they tell us again?
President Muhammadu Buhari has already promised to deliver on his campaign promises, especially in improving the police and the judiciary, as well as security. Many Nigerians have, however, been setting the agenda for the National Assembly. They draw the attention of the legislators to the excuses by the president that the drawbacks to his performance in the last 4 years were contributed to by the past leadership of the National Assembly. The successes and failures of the federal government in the next 4 years, therefore, will now be an accurate reflection of the competence and incompetence of the Buhari APC governments.
Especially on the aspect of road, for instance. They have to bring up the mind and know that there is no particular place that needed their attention. Everywhere, every state, even individual.
So what I advise them now to do is when they get there, they should sit down, do the work they were elected to do.
The agenda is this, is for them to have a seamless relationship that is healthy, that will bring better development for the nation, because we have no other country than this one.
In specifics, many Nigerians want the National Assembly to pressure the executives to address the prevailing pervasive poverty in the country.
This ninth Senate, I expect them to take into cognizance the sufferings of Nigerians. Let them know that their primary objective of going to the Senate is to make laws that will favor the masses. So I expect them to use their good office and legislate for the benefit of the masses, to transform the fortunes of Nigeria.
There's a heavy expectation on the Ninth Assembly. Nigerians are looking on to them that they should do what is needful. They should legislate on the law that affects the common man, the life of common man. So my advice for them is to unite, sit down and think constructively and come out with a law that will better the life of well-meaning Nigerians.
They also want the legislature to hold the executive accountable on its promise to improve security, because the insecurity in the country is affecting the economy, community and ethnic relations, and the inflow of investment into the country.
This time around, we'll finally come in a way that there will not going to be any kind of sentiment. This time around, Nigeria need their support. Nigeria needs security. Nigeria needs to move forward. So now if they make any mistake, it means that they purposely have intention for it.
To deliver on the items on the agenda of the citizens for the National Assembly, effective legislative oversight cannot be reduced to partisan endorsement of every program of the executive. Legislators must be driven by the need of the ordinary Nigerian in both financial approval and support for specific programs and projects.
Well, former Transport Minister Rotimi Amechi, some people may say that statement he made is a little old, but it is stirring current controversy in some parts of the country. We'll raise a number of questions being asked by people. But as we said, it is he who wears the shoes who knows where it pinches. So we made an effort to bring in some politicians of the APC conviction from the Southeast who took part in that election. I can tell you that the young men we have in the studio may have benefited from the movement of not too young to run. You see what I mean. Now I have on my immediate left, Honorable Onyebuchi Chinonso. Onyebuchi Chinonso contested the last election for the Enugu State House of Assembly as a candidate of the APC. Honorable Onyebuchi, you're welcome to our conversation.
Thank you so much.
Also on my right, I have another, not too young to run, he qualifies, Comrade Uguja George. He also ran for the Enugu State House of Assembly under APC for the Nsukka West seat. Comrade, you're welcome to our conversation.
Thank you
now,
very
I'm
much.
sure that you heard my introduction. The Honorable Minister former Honorable Minister of Transport said that the Igbo nation has no business coming to the national table, political table, to ask for the presidency in 2023 because they have nothing to negotiate with. They did not vote for Buhari, nor did they vote for the APC. First, Honorable Nebuchi, how do you react to that former minister's statement?
Honestly, I would like to react to that statement from my own point of view and from the experiences that I had during the election. Amechi can say anything he wants to say. There's freedom of speech. You can put it anyhow he wants to put it. But the truth remains that the leadership of APC, especially our stakeholders from Enugu, our critical stakeholders from Enugu, failed us. I am not saying the Igbos have nothing to bring to the table for to be president in 2023. It is, you can't tell me that all the effort that we put in, for example, in my constituency, I sponsored the election solely from my pocket. None of my leaders contributed a dime to the election. Even a night before the election, they called us. There was some funds they were supposed to disburse to aid our own campaign, everything. Only for them to tell us that the money did not come in. Apparently we are not banking on the party to give us money to run the election. But what is worth doing is worth doing well. We did our part, and we expected the party
to do its part.
But they failed us.
Okay, the party failed you. In other words, the party did not invest enough commitment in all the efforts you made.
Exactly.
We'll come to that. Comrade.
Yes.
How would you take the former minister's statement?
Yes, well, in addition to what my colleague just said, apart from the actions of the party from the national level and also the stakeholders we have at state level, the APC as a ruling party, we're supposed to start to build the social contract at grassroots level. What I mean by social contract is that every political party and its leaders are expected to implement programs that will benefit the poor community people. And when you come to the Southeast, some of the implementation is lacking behind. There are some projects that we're supposed to benefit from that happens in other states of the Federation that is not happening in the Southeast. Then you start to ask questions. If the community people do not benefit from the government at federal level in any way, what conviction do they have that when they vote, they are going to be remembered? So these are one of the major reasons why we had that loophole during the last concluded election. We were in the field to monitor everything. We ran for the elections. We spent huge resources. So if any former minister is coming to say that we don't have anything to bring to the table, I do not believe in that. We have something to bring to the table.
Were there facilities? Was there cooperation? Was there collaboration? Was there unity of purpose in APC to be able to deliver 25% to the party in your state? Comrade.
Yes, let me quickly clarify you. The candidates for the just concluded elections in Enugu were fully prepared. But while they were going about their day-to-day campaign business, the stakeholders who were supposed to mediate between the candidates and the party at national level were busy implementing another strategy, conflicting the effort of the candidate at grassroots level. For instance, you will go to a community and campaign, put everything in order, they promise you their vote, and before you know it, a minister, a current minister, who is supposed to be a strong APC stakeholder, will go ahead and even cover your own posters with the posters of Mr. President and tell them that the only interest of APC in the Southeast is just presidential election. And people saw that there is this disconnect between the candidates and the stakeholders. The candidates are saying that it's APC all the way. Vote for APC president, vote for APC senators, vote for APC reps, and governor and House of Assembly. But the stakeholders had their own different negotiations, more especially with the opposition, because most of them came from the opposition. Some of us, younger politicians, has never joined opposition party before. So we gave in a lot of commitment. But to our surprise, we discovered that because of the connection they have with the opposition, they already established a link, negotiating on our behalf, even when we were not there. Give us so percentage for presidential. Take the candidate, take a Senate, and take House of Reps, and take House of Assembly. So that conflict created a barrier in the grassroots, because at this point, what we implemented in Enugu was evidence-based campaign. Evidence-based campaign means that we tried to, sell the ideology of APC, the things that they are bringing to the table, and it was a gradual thing to, first of all, redeem the image of the party in the Southeast. Because based on propagandas, people already say, oh, this is a Fulani party, don't vote for them. This is Hausa party, this is Yoruba party, don't vote for them. And we came home and we told them, no, this is not Fulani party. This is a national party. This is a national party. Vote for APC. Because for the last 16 years, other political parties have tried and it didn't work. So they were beginning to accept that, our negotiation before the stakeholders conflicted the whole
within
process.
your own party as well.
Within my own party. So we lost based on the actions of our own members and not even the actions of, because even on the day of election, some of them started circulating information that they have boycotted elections. Nobody should go out to vote. So this whole thing compromised our effort. And I put it to you because that Enugu is, being ruled by an opposition. We put in more resources than other House of Assembly members in other states of the Federation that are APC states. So we put in more effort and we got little result because of our leaders.
Comrade, I'll come back to you. Honorable Nebuchi, he's raised something quite interesting. Yes. That APC, at least in Enugu State that we know for a fact, seem to have been a house divided against its own objectives, its own interests. Exactly. Why would you think a major stakeholder would want to undermine the interests of his party and then enhance the interests of the opposition and still say he's a member of the APC? What do you think was the driving interest?
Okay, just like I said earlier, we had compromised stakeholders. And if they've been compromised, there is no way they can work for the interest of...
What were they looking for? You may want to tell us.
Money, obviously. If they want, the only thing, their only concern is what comes from the federal. And once it drops, they pocket it, and that's the end of it. You told, like I said earlier, you said I shouldn't be mentioning them, but just like when my honorable colleague was talking, it's very important you call names. So that if you say minister, some people might not know who the minister you're referring to. We're referring to Geoffrey Onyama. These are the people that thwarted all the effort we made in Enugu State. Their interest is just to retain their, his sole interest is just to retain his ministerial appointment and nothing else. It is only in the East, in Enugu, that I saw that they do campaign for ministerial appointment. I've never seen that happen anywhere. A minister was going around campaigning that he wants to be returned.
Yeah, but I have a challenge there. Let us go back to the core statement that was made by former Transportation Minister Rotimi Amechi. He says, because the Southeast did not vote for Muhammadu Buhari or the APC, there's nothing they can bring to the negotiation table. Now, if a minister wants to remain a minister what will he bring to the negotiation table if he couldn't deliver his state? If his state could not perform as well as it ought to, comrade?
Yes.
Does it make sense?
Yes, yes, that is what I just wanted to explain to you before you interrupted me. Those ministers do not have any business going back to represent the state again as ministers, because they were supposed to bring down that commitment down to the grassroots and get maximum vote for APC. But since they didn't do it, we have discovered people that can do it. We are not saying we performed well, but I think that ranking who is going to be, bring to the table, the Igbos have so many other things to bring to the table. If you come to the economic well-being of Nigeria as a whole, you know the contribution of Igbos as merchants and traders. That is still another point that the Igbos are bringing to the table. It's not only votes that determines who is going to be president and who is not going to be president. APC as a political party will be revived between now and 2023. And we are going to turn all the votes to APC in 2023. But the right leaders must be in place for this to be achieved. And that is why we are here saying, let the National Working Committee and all the panels that has been set up to investigate what transpired understand that it is because of lack of commitment of the existing leaders of APC at state level that made us to fail. We failed because they didn't bring down that capacity. They didn't bring down that resources. Let me give you an example. If a community, in Enugu have not benefited from any federal government intervention, they have not benefited from the ministers. The ministers do not carry, APC along at ward level. The ward chairman, the ward executive are not able to assess the ministers. So how do they communicate their needs to the federal government? So that lacuna will have to be bridged.
The Igbos are quick to tell you that they are creative in business, they are creative in industry. But the corollary, the other side of it, is that politics is a game of number. You cannot lose the election in your own constituency because you didn't make the number, and you want to claim the big prize. Honorable Nebuchi, is it not a tall order for the Igbo to say, look, we shall be president in 2023, and they can't deliver the number, at least the number they have?
I think what we need in Igbo land is political education, if I may say, political awareness. Because when you look at the Northerners, they are informed. Because most of them listen to radio every now and then. They're walking around with their radios, getting first-hand information from whatever that is happening around. But our nonchalant attitude about politics has really, affected us.
Capacity to deliver.
If you have to be, we have to be honest with ourselves.
A specific issue.
Yes.
That lack of education, that lack of galvanizing the people.
Yes.
Did the current leadership of APC in Enugu State, was it not aware of it, and did it address it?
That's the problem, because they failed to do the needful. Even we that did what we're supposed to do, like, raising awareness, campaigning, going around different wards, constituencies, make sure that people are actually political. I had one incident that happened during the election. On the day of election proper, on my way back from the polling unit, some women stopped and they were saying, "Oh, Honorable, we voted for your radio. You are there in Jesus' name." I said, "Amen." I said, I asked him, "Mommy, where did you vote?" He said, "Oh, it's in Chanwo now. It's Broom." Do you understand? It's Broom now. It's umbrella.
Umbrella.
I mean, it's umbrella. And I was like, "Okay, Mommy, thank you very much." I was not able, she voted for me.
But she voted in the wrong place.
She voted in the wrong place. So that's not us doing our own part. For PDP to be in Enugu State for 15 years or more is something that people that have gotten used to over the years. So for us to really do well, the leadership, all hands must be on desk. There's no point saying, we belong to this faction, and we belong to the other. If our leaders actually did not compromise, all these things would have taken into credit.
Yeah, but yeah, go ahead.
And coming to what Amechi said about we the South is not having anything put on the table, the same thing that happened in Enugu State. How come he did not win River State?
No, we have already raised that question because I'm trying to get to be educated on something. You younger ones are raising critical issues. With all due respect to you, you are junior stakeholders when you look at all the masquerades in APC in Enugu State. In other words, those bigger fellows should be more conscious of these factors if they wanted APC to win election. I do not know what I'm going around in circle over the same question. Is it not contradictory that a man wants to play effectively at the national level and he then goes ahead to undermine the success of that very platform on which he will stand and negotiate at the national level? Because we mentioned names.
Yes.
Many of these people are struggling, or rather desirous of playing at a national level. Can a man build a house without a foundation? Comrade.
Yes, exactly. Why we were of the ideology that the APC should start to function from the remoteness of the grassroots. For instance, trying to first of all win, councillorship elections, local government elections, House of Assembly elections, governorship elections, presidential elections. Even the APC at national level did not see it that way. Why I am saying this is because they just wanted APC to vote for the president. And when that didn't happen as they expected, they withdrew all forms of support to even the House of Assembly and Guba candidates. Just like you said, we need to start from the foundation before we build the main house. APC cannot just wake up and deliver the presidential election without, first of all, having reputable leaders at the remoteness of the grassroots to make sure that they carry the people, the voters along. For instance, I've been receiving calls, from Nsukka West. People want to know what is happening at the federal level, what is APC, doing now, because they don't have that direct linkage to the federal. So if you jump me and want to get to them, it may be difficult because you can't interact with these people. So I think that what we missed at this point was to start from grassroots level to build the party, to the state and the national level. So the politicians that are desiring to become ministers are not supposed to desire that. The people that are supposed to become ministers are those ones that have that capacity to interact with the people at grassroots level. Because when they become ministers, the dividends that come, will be transferred to take it home to. Exactly. Some of these people desiring to become ministers has been governors, senate presidents, ministers. So they lost touch with the grassroots a long time ago. They don't come down from their jeeps and security escorts to have discussion with youth leaders at what level. They don't come down from their mansions to go to, the farms and the remote communities to have conversation with the grassroots people. How would they be able to even know the cries of the people? So the people believed that they didn't have, that we close to them didn't have the support that we needed. For instance, during the presidential election, the House of Assembly candidate asked the National Working Committee to carry them along and make them coordinators of Buhari campaign organization at grassroots level. But the stakeholders, the so-called stakeholders, hijacked it.
The bigger masquerade.
Yes, and did not involve the House of Assembly members, and we did not know everything that happened. So we were just campaigning, vote for Buhari, because we know he's a good man, and he has, the right mindset to deliver Nigeria from poverty. So we were telling them the truth, and because we are his fans in the grassroots, we were like the people everybody know. And at the end of the day, when we were disappointed also, They came to us and said, we need money for agents, we need money for canvassers, and we have spent a lot by then, and the party didn't give us any support. So they saw that there is a gap, for us to be able to connect, and that is why we are running around, trying to form a coalition to get our voices to be heard, to let them know that it's not just about the big masquerades who are desiring to be. Let them look at the stakeholders, the young politicians. I mentioned a name not long ago. These are the kind of people.
Involvement, we might not overpush that, Honorable Nebuchi.
Yes.
The thing is that he said there was a disconnect. These elections have come, these elections have almost gone, except for issues in the court.
Yes.
We're waiting, the courts will decide the outcome of those ones. But as politicians who are now licking their wounds, I'm sure that you must look beyond today and begin to look towards tomorrow. What do you think Enugu State, what do you think APC should be doing to reinvent itself in Enugu State and deliver on the expectations of those who believe in their candidates and believe in them?
I think what we should be doing in APC Enugu State now, just like Honorable Guja said, is to appoint the right leaders to guide us through the right path. Because if we end up going back to these old people that failed us, at the end of the day, come 2023.
Honorable Nebuchi, I take exception to that. The old people who failed you?
No, I'm not. I don't mean, when I said old people that failed us, I don't mean by age. Yes. I mean people that was. I'm sorry.
We failed you.
No, I don't mean. See, don't get me wrong. I said the old people. I don't mean older people, like people that have come of age. I don't mean that. I mean people that was there before that failed us. They could be young. They could be too old, but they failed. So there's every reason.
I can relax.
Okay. So there's every.
And enjoy my old age.
Thank you. Thank you. Because I want to get your age someday. So there's every need. There's every need for us to appoint the right people that will help galvanize everything.
Comrade, those of you who are activists have a way of also making yourself to be heard.
Yes.
Is the national leadership of the APC listening to you? Are they hearing you?
Yes.
Are they conscious of some of these weaknesses that you are pointing out?
Yes. First of all, I want to state clearly that we support the leadership of the APC at national level, and we know that they are doing the right thing to make APC advance to the Southeast region. But we are on the ground, and like they say, politics is not given, it is taken. So we do not want to assume that they are not listening to us, because we are, doing as much as we can to make our voices heard. And I think that is enough signal to, enable them start to adjust early enough. We just have a very little step to make, and we win APC over in the Southeast. We have to, first of all, select the right leaders. We need to resolve all forms of
contradictions and conflicts.
Yes, anti-party activities, and this person being a faction chairman and the other person being a faction chairman. It needs to be resolved as soon as possible. And when that is resolved, the capacity of world chairmen and world executives should be built to start early enough to have frequent meetings, build the confidence of members at grassroots level, make them to understand that some of the social investment programs coming into the southeastern states are product of the federal government and the APC and not the state government. So these things, if well put in place, 2023 will win the southeast over to the APC.
And so that's our conversation for this Sunday. Critical issues. The House seemed to have divided against itself. I do not want to quote the Bible. We say that when the House is divided against itself, that House cannot stand. I think this House, according to my two guests, can still be rebuilt and made to stand. Honorable Nebuchi Chinoso. Thank you very much for coming to our show.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Comrade, Comrade Uguja George. Comrade, I said to you before we began this conversation that I was going to pawn and maybe put a little more blessing on that surname.
Yes.
So can I call you Comrade Uguja George?
Please go
Please,
ahead.
God's own mountain.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for the conversation. That is our edition for this week. Not to forget, though, that by next week we'll continue our agenda for the National Assembly. Dr. Ayakeme Whiskey will be our guest, and we're talking devolution of powers. Join us then for this Sunday. Can I say good afternoon and bye-bye.
Make a first of all knack una proper welcome salute enter this program Corruption Tori, for where we for the torchlight matter of mago tif for this we country Nigeria. My name na Ufoma Eguriase, una welcome o. Igbo anugo na correct name when me say Igbo people don't hear. And then e get this Igbo proverb where them they talk say any grasshopper we hear okpoko and e kill am. Na deafness kill that grasshopper o. Sake of okpoko na bird wey e be say when e dey come, na im wing you go first hear. E go dey sound fiakam, fiakam, fiakam. Once grasshopper hear am, na to take off o. Anyone wey e catch, e go be say either e deaf or e no just hear. Now my people, this fight against corruption for Nigeria today, e be like okpoko bird. Na im be say e be one town crier. E dey announce im waka every day through EFCC, ICPC, and even with Olokpa police them. And like this Igbo name, Igbo Anugo, everybody suppose hear with their ear. Make it be say the people wey no run comot their hand for inside corruption by themselves. Them go gbap them, can't disgrace them well. If you never code this my yarn, it be like say you guys ask Victor Igbo Anugo, wey be director for Federal Ministry of Education, when na in palaver with law be our corruption Tori for today. Ngwa, make we carry go. For Thursday, April 11, 2019, we independent corrupt practices with other related offences, wey them they call ICPC for short, carry one director for the Federal Ministry of Education, Victor Igbo Anugo, enter FCT High Court on top the matter of 162 million naira fraud. Them still come here say Victor Igbo Anugo be like say he get property where his salary where them they pay am no suppose reach to buy. ICPC still come yarn on top say Victor Igbo Anugo take the office where them put am for this country, take do bad thing. According by waiting them charge and go court for. The time where Victor be seke for the Ministerial Tenders Board for Ministry of Environment, him direct some big contract give private companies where him get hand put. ICPC still yarn the court say the time where Victor Igbo Anugo na deputy director for procurement inside Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs, he buy property for America yonder with 140,000 Oyibo money dollars. Money wey no fit be the salary wey them they pay am Sam. Them still talk say Victor Igbo Anugo collect 20 million naira return money from one Asiwaju Femi after he give am contract of make he do construction for center where them they do for people to come learn work, call am skills acquisition. Victor Igbo Anugo do a beg, saying no dey guilty for all this one where them accuse put for him head, and the court come grant am bail if he pay 2 million naira. Come knock am order say he must to drop his international passport with registrar for court, make he no go take off. The matter now go enter trial proper for June 19, 2019. civil servants suppose be like big dog wey dey guard public property sake of na dem dey guard and guide government programs dem with all these projects and money wey government dey put for inside. Na their work be that. But when dog begin chop bone wey dem give am make e keep, e mean say even meat wey dey inside house e no dey safe again o. Na wetin ICPC dey talk as dem carry Victor Igboanugo go court.
Sad actually that such an event is actually happening, and very sad too with respect to the fact that it's in the Ministry of Education. Education actually is supposed to be the mainstay of any economy, and to really drive the economy forward, we must be educated, especially for the young ones. So now that there is a corruption case against the Permanent Secretary, Mr. Victor Igboanugo, it's kind of sad because he's actually supposed to be more like a police in the ministry that is saddled with the responsibility of actually overseeing most of the activities of the ministry and also putting the minister in check. But now he's the one actually being accused of corruption, living above his means and certain amount of money that probably may have been laundered. It goes to tell us that this corruption case in Nigeria has actually gone beyond what we think.
I reacted angrily. I would expect Nigerians to react angrily at such things. But what do you get? Sometimes what you get, you don't understand. Some Nigerians seem to think, I don't know, they see corruption. Because this is corruption. You know, this is abuse of trust.
For inside this program before, we don carry this big question comot, say wetin e dey cost when government officer carry contract give im own company or im friend company. How e dey affect government business?
There is no time anybody prepares an estimate after they factor in the cost of materials, labor, profit, overhead and everything. There's nowhere they add kickback. There's nowhere in the build-up of the rates where you see kickback. You know, so what you are simply saying is that the kickback is going to make sure you compromise certain aspects of the work. First, kickbacks are higher than the profit margin. Kickbacks are higher than the profit margin. So if you now take out the profit margin and you take out maybe overheads, and then you go into the cost of the money meant for material, naturally, the quality of the job will have to go down. Specification will have to be manipulated. The supervisors will have to be blinded. So the kickback thing don't even start at the level of the award. Supervision all the way down. Even a subcontractor who is supposed to do something at this level of finesse, because he say, well, either you take it or you leave it. Everybody gets kicked in the ass, and then the kickback keeps rolling on.
When you set up a luncheon in the church or in the mosque or, you know, in the community, and you make the director in the Ministry of Health, the chairman, they will tell you that chairman is not chairman, but it's not true. They'll expect the chairman to bring money. Where are they expecting the chairman to bring that money from? Because we are used to extravagance. And to match up with that extravagance, then people have to look for crazy ways of making money. All these things fuel corruption.
Na true say when civil servant dey find kickback wey be the return money from contract, im no go put mind whether the money for the contract dem dey use am well o, whether dem even over add join the money o, whether dem no use better products do the work o, whether dem even finish the work sef, im no go care because im dey expect that kickback. And the people wey dey suffer this kind thing, na we the ordinary country people wey this project suppose dey for.
When you're induced with certain amount of money or appreciation, so to speak, you find that you're already compromised and you may not really be looking out for quality this time. You're just looking out for your own personal gains from the project. And the contractor themselves are actually there to make money. They are in business. So if probably their profit has actually been streamlined for kickbacks, then definitely the quality of job that will be delivered would be low because they have to still make profit and they have to cut corners to be able to make those profits. this situation of kickbacks has become a very, very terrible situation in Nigeria, and it's become common practice.
Kickbacks, we should kick them out. Yes, kickbacks should be kicked out.
ICPC accused Victor Igboanugo say him buy property of 140,000 oyibo money dollars for US. Abeg o, wetin go make country person, director for that matter, wey suppose dey in charge of to do implementation of government policy, wetin go make am carry im money go do business for yonder abroad, make e dey add join oyibo money? Wetin e dey tell oyibo dem about we country Nigeria?
They see us as some dimwits. They are surprised to the extent that a president of a country call us shitholes. And then he got away with it. And if you ask me, maybe we deserve that. It's not, like I said, it's not a medal event, not something you praise. But we presented ourselves, and then, of course, they rode on us. They cleaned their legs on our backs and all that.
The other side of it would look at it and say that we are not patriotic, that we are not, that we are primitive, that we are fantastically corrupt, right? And that is why I say it is for Nigerians to understand that, you know, they say, the Igbos say, the person that the relative dances a bad dance, you know, is the shame comes to him. So such things, yes, will be viewed by the outside world, in the Western world, as not right. But I think most importantly is that we should try to stop such things so that we don't keep giving our country a bad name outside.
Like, we are just not serious. So when we hear cases of people of high standing in society investing allegedly stolen money in foreign economies, it goes a long way to show that we really don't have a lot of interest in our own people.
E no go good for Victor Igboanugo if court find out say true him dey guilty of this thief mago wey dem talk say e do. But we sef as country people, we no dey help matter. See, in towns people, family people, even club members go dey ask wetin him don achieve as director for civil service. Na so dem go dey pressure am. See so and so person o, see Ahmed, see Akanbi, wait, this one retire as deputy director o. See as he don't get 2 houses for London. Wetin you wey be director don't get. And na so we dey encourage people for public service to make am, and we dey pressure them. Na so that they corrupt.
Societal pressure, meaning both family, acquaintances, and previous office holders. They did something and they got away with it, so he celebrated. Then you, when you get in there, you are supposed to try and see how you can beat that guy, or at least be at par with him. So society, as we define it, society where we are from, they see you as you are either they classify you a failure or a success by the amount of money you have made, a kind of impact, financial impact, solid impact, not necessarily how much you impacted people in the society, but now what do you have to show for all your time there? It becomes like a contest. When these people were there, they stole 2 billion. You, when you go there, either you steal 2 or more. It has become a competition.
Perhaps history may have had it that the previous palm sex were actually living at a certain standard and certain level. So family could actually put a lot of pressure on this palm sex, and in the light that they will be comparing them with other previous palm sex and putting a lot of pressure for them to actually be on the wrong side of the law by taking what is not rightfully theirs and all of that, just to keep up to expectation of...
The whole cycle of corruption is, there's a demand system that fuels corruption. That same system discourages not being corrupt, discourages people from being upright. And that is sad. Because you just said something now. There are a lot of wives, families, brothers, communities that are going to ridicule their brother, husband, you know, son, if they hold an important office and they don't bring back some largesse from it, they're not content with with your providing food on make it on the table, with the occasional assistance you give to the community. They want more, and they know that that more that they want is beyond your legitimate earning.
My people, now here I go press pause put for corruption Tori today till we waka come with another Tori next week. I beg make you remember say na clean hustle get the sweetest money. Una bye bye